Hi and welcome. I am trying to learn histology. Today, deep wound healing, and after we've done it, we're gonna do ECU strength, extensor carpi ulnaris strength training. And if you're participating in the extensor carpi ulnaris strength training, then it's better the arm risk. And this is part 8 or something of deep wound healing. And we're talking about bones, internal anatomy, and the blood system, and this is now medical advice. Now, we want to do another presentation after we've done it about the inflammatory phase, the migration phase, and the proliferative phase. Now about the maturation phase. Maturation phase. So, the proliferative phase is characterized by extensive growth of epithelial cells beneath the scalp, deposition by fibroblasts of collagen fibers and random petals, and continued growth of blood vessels. Finally, during the maturation phase, the scalp slows off once the epidermis has been restored to normal thickness. Okay, the first thing is, the scalp on top slows off. I don't really know what it means, it comes off. So I'm going to use the same word, slows off as soon as the epidermis beneath it has rebuilt. The scalp slows off once the epidermis has been restored to normal thickness. Collagen fibers become more organized. Fibroblasts decrease in number. And blood vessels are restored to normal. Now, collagen fibers. Let's check what we have to collagen fibers. It did start in the inflammatory phase with the mesenchymal cells. Mesenchymal cells come in, developing into fibroblasts. Migratory phase, fibroblasts migrating along fibrin threads and begin to synthesize scar tissue, and that is collagen fibers and glycoproteins. Now we're having proliferative phase and the fibroblast deposition of fibroblasts of collagen fibers and petals. The proliferative phase is characterized by extensive growth of epithelial cells beneath the scalp, deposition by fibroblasts of collagen fibers and random petals. So the fibroblasts are doing the collagen fibers. We're synthesizing them. Now we're having here written, the collagen fibers become more organized. How does it even happen? And the fibroblasts, which would head down the collagen fibers, reduce in their number. Now, are the collagen fibers there if the skin is healthy? But I'm wondering, do we have to know it now? Because we're going to have a lot of more parts to skip. What did we have here? So it was said, collagen fibers become organized. So we're going to say, but I don't understand it. How do we just become that? Or the new ones created? So I want to explain that. And I cannot. Okay, let's look what we have. Collagen fibers become more organized. The collagen fibers, which in the previous migratory phase were randomly synthesized, in the proliferative phase. It had started with, in the migratory phase, with synthesizing scar tissue out of collagen fibers and glycoproteins. In the previous proliferative phase, where the collagen fibers were produced in random patterns by fibroblasts. Now the amount of fibroblasts gets lower, and also are now the collagen fibers becoming more organized, however that happens. Okay, fibroblasts decrease in number, and blood vessels are restored to normal, hopefully. And the rebuilding of the infrastructure of the blood vessels absolves its tasks, whatever. As noted in chapter 4. Okay, that is the proliferative phase, but I want to give now where is the last here mentioned phase. I said already twice. It is not that the scar stays like that. I would at least mention a fifth one, a fifth eternal one, like so goes it on. As noted in chapter 4, the process of scar tissue formation is called fibrosis. Okay, the process of a scar tissue formation is fibrosis. We had here previously, during the migratory phase, the tissue filling the wound is called granulation tissue. And now, the process of forming scar tissue is called fibrosis, we're going to mention it a bit. Sometimes so much scar tissue is formed during deep wound healing that a raised scar results. That is, one that is elevated above a normal epidermal surface. Okay. the process of scar tissue forming is fibrosis and sometimes too much, isn't it? Yes, too much. Scar tissue is, or fibrosis is being done, or scar tissue being formed, and there is no erased scar. If such a scar remains within the boundaries of the original wound, it is a hypertrophic scar. If it extends beyond the boundaries of the original wound into normal surrounding tissues, it is a keloid scar. We're going to mention it also, because I could do a separate video about it. But I don't understand it enough to do it. Does it belong in this video? Yes, let's mention it. And then we're going to come back maybe next week and say we want to have it singular. Okay, hypertrophic and keloid. Now it gets pretty long already, the video. What we're going to do is presentation. Fibrosis, and it can be too big a hill. If it is just in its boundaries, it's a hypertrophic, it is bigger a keloid. The scar tissue differs from normal skin in that its collagen fibers are more densely arranged. In scar tissue, the collagen fibers are, so normal tissue is also collagen fibers, are more densely arranged. Scar tissue also has fewer blood vessels, so it's not completely restored, and blood vessels are restored to normal. Scar tissue has fewer blood vessels. We're not going to take a literature by every word, but actually we are trying to write it in a way that we understand what we're writing there. We know what we mean. Scar tissue also has fewer blood vessels and might not contain the same number of hairs, skin glands or sensory structures as undamaged skin. We're going to do another video, scar versus normal tissue, scar tissue versus normal tissue. Hypertrophic keloid, and then differences. Collagen fibers more dense, fewer blood vessel, less hair, skin glands, sensory structures. Skin glands, hair, skin glands, sensory structures. And because the collagen fibers are arranged differently, and they are less blood vessels, scar tissue is lighter on normal skin. But I think there's also more to it than just the blood vessels and the collagen fibers. What are the information zone? It's the form phase, the migratory phase, and the blood vessels are rebuilding completely, the collagen fibers, the amount of fibroblasts becomes less, and the collagen fibers are now becoming more organized. We do two things. The three things. The scab off, normal thickness. Scab comes off, more organized, decreasing in number. Blood vessels restored. The whole thing is called fibrosis, can be higher, hypertrophic, bigger, keloid, and it differs that it has lesser blood vessels. The collagen fibers are more dense, and there are also less hair, skin glands, and sensory structures. And it appears lighter because the skin are differently. What was the reason? Arranged because of the arrangement of collagen fibers. We didn't say more dense or not. I said it previously, but it differs that it is more dense. And just the difference of the collagen fibers and with the less blood vessels. We don't have time. That's time. I'm going to start the camera. The fourth and final phase of deep wound healing, after the inflammation phase and the migratory phase, the proliferative phase, is the maturation phase. So, during the maturation phase, there are now less fibroblasts there, and they are now also, that is not that easy to say. And I don't have time, if you don't have even time for one take, so it's not really a good idea to make it. Let's try to organize it. Let's just use it as organize. the maturation phase. The maturation phase is the final of the 4 phases of deep wound healing. It started with the inflammatory phase, with the migratory phase, the proliferative phase, and now the maturation phase. The collagen fibers become now more organized, and the fibroblasts which were doing these collagen fibers are reducing in their number, and also the blood vessels are now rebuilt their infrastructure of blood vessels, but not to the full extent as it was previously. Now, the whole tissue of the scar tissue, the formation of scar tissue is called fibrosis. And the differences between normal skin and scar tissue. Now, first thing, another thing to the scar, if there's too much collagen fibers done, then it can give a raised scar, and that is called a hypertrophic scar. And if it is not just raised, but also over the borders, then it's called a keloid scar. Now, the differences is that there are less blood vessels, and also are the collagen fibers more dense. And these two things causes the skin to be lighter there. And also there are less hair, less skin glands and sensory structures. And that is according to Gerard and Sandra Grabowski's Principles of Anatomy and Physiology book, page 152, but this is now medical advice. I want to stop the camera. And we have actually enough time left for the extensor narrow strength training. If you stay and participate in the extensor narrow strength training, then it's at your own risk. Now, first of the extensor narrows is here. We're starting with, we have the flat gate. Fists next to us, and we bring the fists down and up. If you participate, then it's at your own risk. And we have 3 rules. The first rule is that we're stopping immediately as soon as there's pain. The second rule is, up and down with this. The second rule is that we're going only as fast as we can go with a little bit of effort. And the third rule is that we're not overdoing it. We just want to strengthen, not to exhaust. Next exercise, the counterfight money check. Fists, and now bring the fists up and again down. And now to the next exercise. I'm going to use the sock, then use something else. Press with good moderate force onto the sock and bring the fist again up and again down. Hold it and press the whole time. Press even with the whole fist, with the 4th and 5th finger as well. There is the extensor carpi ulnaris. And with the other hand. Press and bring the fist up. And again down. Again up. And down. And the last time. And now again with the other hand, press again and turn over arm to the outside. Only as far as it goes with moderate or little effort. If there's pain, stop immediately and don't exhaust. This could be enough in exercises. And again to the outside. Press with the whole hand, also with the 4th and 5th finger. But don't overdo it. And also if you get pain at the fingers, will also stop. With the other hand, press and turn to the inside. And to the outside. Inside again. And to the outside. And now, hold it up and bring the fist up. Press the whole time and again down. Press with all 5 fingers. E. And again up. And down. And now with the other hand. Press even. And bring the fist down. And again. And the last time. And now the last exercise, just press moderate open force. And on the other hand. Don't mind never did it, but let's try the pull at the end, just go moderate pressure on the middle part of the lower arm. I don't know if it's necessary, and it's not a long muscle. But only so. Now, that was the extensor carpi ulnaris strength training. If you have participated, thank you very much. I mean to say, I thank you very much, and until the next time.